Welcome, Jedi School members. Grandmaster Thor here, and this is part one of how to get rich using occultism. Now, pretty much this is one of the major areas in everyone's life, and something that practical occultism, the occult sciences, is made for. It's something that it's a major specialty of the occult sciences is the control of the common world. And the common world really boils down to, initially, because everything else really falls behind that, sadly as it is, but this reality is worked out to the money. It's all about the Benjamins. Plain and simple. If you have money, you're able to buy better foods, healthcare products, healing machines. It goes on and on and on. Everything has a price tag on it. And while you don't necessarily need that much money, you do need money to be comfortable and to maintain your actual honesty and dignity and integrity in life. Plain and simple. The more that you are worried about survival, the more corrupt you are. Plain and simple, and we see this around the world. And of course, that even goes into societies that aren't that needy. They get into the greed factor. But that's another area, and of course, an occult scientist working out of higher consciousness certainly understands the valuelessness of money once you have it as well. And of course, that's the catch-22. That's the rub. That's the conundrum of life. Is the fact is that ultimately, if you think money's going to make you happy and it's going to solve all your problems in life, it's not. And this has been demonstrated time and time again. The point is that being poor doesn't give you anything either. It makes things worse. The very rich man and the very poor man are pretty much on the same mentality level. And thinking you're rich, like so many people do, and make all this money, who've then screwed a whole bunch of other people as they went up their line, or not paying the people that made them rich, like everyone they know and everyone in their corporations, and then giving billions to charity is the ultimate low consciousness move. You're really a dumb, rotten scumbucket if you do that. And these charities take your money, and you're lucky if 5% on a dollar, or let's say a dollar, that means a nickel. You're lucky if that goes to the cause. The rest of it goes to the managing directors. And while nonprofits, organizations do not make, quote, profits, they pay salaries because people have to live. The problem is when these nonprofit companies, similar to the Red Cross, start paying their directors $1 million or more a year, there seems to be kind of a disconnect there. So it's very important that, there aren't charities out there that you can trust. The best thing to do if you're very, very wealthy is to set up your own charity and watch it and put in people who are not corrupt, who can make sure that the good work is done with those billions you have, Mr. Facebook and Mr. Gates and all you other idiots that have made billions off the backs of others and rewarded them very little. Apple, who's great Steve Jobs, who never had an education, who was living in some delusional fantasy of some Middle Eastern religion, screwed over pretty much everybody that he ever came into contact with. And certainly didn't reward even those people who may have not been that much of a great help. Maybe they were just little techs and builders that helped you get up, but screwed them all over. And I don't know if he gave anything to anybody or what, but of course I can guarantee you nobody in Apple is working there that doesn't have a high degree. Unlike its founder, who dropped out of college and went and found himself. So the whole idea is that these realities that you run into will not make you happy, but they certainly give you the opportunity. I'm not sure who said it, but you said you cannot buy happiness, but you can park your yacht next to it and walk over to it. So I think there's some truth to that, but we also know that you can just go throughout time immemorial and rich people are not happier. And to some ways it's disgusting and very depressing to be wealthy because you reach a level and you find out, well, staying at this fancy place, having this $200,000 car, living in this mansion by the beach, I'm not that happy because these are outer things and happiness comes from the inner. On the other hand, living next to a war zone with criminals and pimps and pigs, and having to beg for doctors and deal with corrupt, evil people on every single level. Of course, you have money. It's the same game, but a little bit different. But having to fight for everything and having to worry about a menial job that just gets you by, and whether you'll be able to afford, pure food, supplements, whether your children go to college, all those things which now are a fantasy in America, which was part of the American dream, you can't have unless you're greedy and work with the people in control, and that means you become corrupt. So how do we get around all that? And so I don't think we have to go over too much with people to have them understand the importance of having a prosperity. And that's what it is. It's prosperity. It's not worrying about where your next buck comes from. It's not worrying about buying things that you need and to survive at higher levels, and to stay away from having to go along with the crowd. And of course, all these games also culminate in the fact of you having to be still involved with strong protective energies, because they will come after you as you make money. In the past, it used to be that criminal activity or victimized people were done in scams with people had direct or indirect involvement in them. Now, these criminals, because they're 100% backed by the so-called police departments, go after you and seek you out to entrap and destroy you to take your money. They're not going to wait for an opportunity. They're not going to wait for you to be displeased with life and take £1 billion of drugs, which they make money on. They're going to go out and take the money right out of your pocket. Screw the drugs, screw the problem with it. We'll just take all your money. So these are things you have to be very careful of. But before I diverse into all sorts of other issues, let's get back to this wealth situation and how it goes into occultism. Now, the reason why money and particularly gambling should be the things that occultism works the best with is that it is purely an energy field. There's really no rhyme and reason why one person who is an excellent businessman should succeed while someone else fails. Why is that? It's the same thing with so many businesses. I mean, there's a lot of bad businesses out there. I mean, restaurants have almost 100% failure rate because there's a lot of restaurants. And there's a lot of factors to it. And it's very easy with food to get things wrong and not to produce a good product. But, most products restaurants, etc., do produce basically good products. It's certainly as good as everybody else is doing. If you're doing something special, that doesn't mean that you succeed. Doesn't mean that you have, as the old saying goes, if you have a better mousetrap, they're going to beat their path to your door. That couldn't be more untrue. Maybe that was true when that usually was stated in the 50s and 60s, when there was kind of open markets and there wasn't much out there. But in the end, most things that happen today is he who markets the best wins. And, the whole idea of that, people wanting to get on somebody's team, or they wear the same shoes that a celebrity does or buys the same watch that they do. So, celebrities, get everything for free. And they should, because when they wear something, sales of that product go up hundreds and hundreds of percent, if not thousands. And they're creating a whole image for that, which is the reason why they pay people a lot of money to wear their products and to wear their shirts, and they wear things. There's a whole club that revolves around sports and celebrities, etc., that people want to be something special. And if that special person's wearing that watch or that t-shirt or that shoe, you want to do it as well. Which is ridiculous if you think about it. Because in many aspects, I mean, a pretty little dress on some actress, because they're 20 and are 10 pounds soaking wet, may look very good on her, but it's probably not going to look very good on you. So, one of the reasons why shoes are so popular is that anybody can wear a shoe no matter what they look like, big, tall, or in between. But in general, why is that? Why are those things? Why do some companies, and they've spent millions introducing products that fail? And, this is very typical in movies, and they even test movies where people go and look at them and say, oh, this is wonderful. But when they release them, they fail. Now, there is a huge area to understand here that there is marketing problems. And were these marketed right? Were they marketed correctly? This is part of life, and it's part of business. And, of course, all these things are something that you need to take in consideration. But a lot of things come down to the fact that if you have equal skill, equal talent, I mean, when you get big corporations, you're getting the same Harvard Business School graduates doing the same things they learned in those meathead schools to produce results. Well, why are the results so different? Why are some people that seem to everything they touch turn to gold, and other ones don't? A lot of these people are very, very stupid. If people are listening to all my lectures, when we go and we look at these famous business people, they are really, the richest men in the world are very stupid. A lot of it boils down to luck. And what is luck? Luck is an occult energy, people. I mean, Branson from Virgin mega corporations, the billions and billions of dollars, that guy is a virtual retard. I've seen him on interview after interview, and it's, I don't know up, I don't know down. I mean, literally, this guy, and I'm so staggered by this, I've repeated this in many audios, he didn't know the difference between a gross profit and a net profit. And these are billion-dollar corporations. Now, he's not running these corporations. He has his Harvard boys and whatever there. But it's pretty scary. How did he ever make it? Claiming to be highly dyslexic. And, of course, it doesn't make you stupid. And most dyslexics know the difference between net and gross, especially if it's their own money. Well, it's not necessarily a dyslexic concept that can't be understood. But he's allowed himself to get even stupider because other people make his decisions. After all, is my bank account still full? Is my credit card still full? That's probably all he cares about, whether people run his companies. But it just shows you, does that make you rich? Well, most places that makes everybody steal from you. We go to people like Bill Gates, who not too long ago, in a recorded interview, say how the internet is just a joke. It's not going anywhere. It will never do anything. He's the richest man in the world. So the richest man in the world has misjudged the most potent business and tool, society tool, the most something that has changed society more than anything else in the history of humankind has been the internet. Because of the vastness of it and the such diversity of it. Well, that's really smart. And it just goes on, and people want to go to the bumbling boob who started Apple, Steve Jobs. This guy was a nothing more than a nasty little prick who got into the right place at the right time. He's totally and completely uneducated, dropped out of school to find himself, involved in Eastern mysticism, then somehow thought he was a genius because he thought to put music on a memory chip. Or he moved the keyboard away from the monitor the way well, these are just great discoveries. No one else would ever figure these out. And of course it is, make this happen, boys. I have the idea. The guy didn't know a resistor from a capacitor in general. And his little troll Wozniak really did his job for him that he paid mediocrely. I'm assuming he got some big chunks of things in the end. Doesn't seem to be struggling too much. But I wonder how rich he is. I don't never heard of him being in the top rich people. So here we go again with why were they successful? Why are they successful? And we go on in these areas, and there doesn't seem to be anything to be had of the fact that these are genius ideas, that the people involved with them are geniuses. A matter of fact, people who tend to be geniuses and come up with cutting-edge things, similar to Nikola Tesla, tend to buck business because they're interested in, let's deliver energy for free or at low cost. What are you talking about? Those are words that capitalists, the criminals that they are, because there's no such thing as capitalism. It's really just a gang. Capitalism means beating your competitor up and out of the market, regardless if they have a better product or not. It's about criminalism. But in general, people that come up with revolutionary ideas don't make it and are suppressed by the other things around them. This is why we have a $150,000 electrical car called the Tesla that seems to be backordered, which hardly goes any distances or anything else. But of course, it's not a real alternative energy car. It's a battery car. And of course, their battery technology is just about 10% greater than it was in 1900, here over 100 years later. So, here we go again. What makes all this stuff? Now, if we take all the politicalness out of things and we look who is successful and not, and why some things catch on, it has to do with occult energy fields to a large degree. And now this is generated, or I should say demonstrated, very profoundly if you watch particularly poker. Now, to a large extent, all business and earning of money is a gamble in one way or another. But when you look at gambling, it really is something that is completely, well, let's not say completely, let's say 95% in the end based on luck. Now, you either win or you lose, particularly when it comes to games of chance. And we're talking about poker and these type of things. And poker demonstrates things very well. Now, poker is a game of great skill on one level, and there are statistical data. You know, if you see 3 of a card sticking up on the table, it means the 4th card that is in the deck is there, but your likelihood of getting it is 1 in whatever the amount of cards left. Let's say 40 cards are left, so it's 1 in 40 that will come up. And these are statistical data. So you look at, if there's 2 cards in there, then your chances increase. So there's a mathematical equation there to assist the process. And that's part of it. And then there's all sorts of other things to poker that come there. But a lot of poker boils down to, number one, psychic abilities, meaning it's called reading. What do the other people have? And they're not showing to you. Poker, like so many things in life, is a game of your missing information. So what does the information? Well, the information somebody else has. So do they have the missing ingredient to win at that particular game of chance? So that can be determined through your psychic abilities, and this is called reading. Now, professionals don't call this, because very few poker people claim or will admit to the fact of using metaphysical and occult powers, and I don't believe that's true whatsoever. I think a lot of them behind the scenes are developing that, even though they all like to laugh at it and poo-poo. There are problems with coming out saying that you have, quote, extra abilities or talents beyond, I feel it in my gut, I'm reading you. Now, most poker players seem to be very educated people in terms of they are very fanatical, and whatever they get into, they, particularly winners in general, they do a lot of research in it. They're trying to tell me that none of these people have tried to figure out how to do that with the, and of course, if you want to listen to the schmientists, well, none of this has ever been proven. Well, I'm afraid it has been. It's been proven for over 100 years. And there's all sorts of studies that have shown this, from the common world to so many different institutions around the world, right up to the military, that something can. Are you trying to tell me they've never looked into this? Well, if they haven't, they're pretty stupid. But they're not going to admit it because there's a great ridicule. And I've seen that at poker tables where some people have laughed, oh, are you psychic reading it? As we know, that's one of the biggest ways to actually put you off and embarrass you as a person, as an individual, and as a scientist, is ridicule. One of the worst things in life is, if you want to embarrass someone, is to laugh at them. Laughing at someone creates a huge feeling of humiliation. So if you want to embarrass someone or insult them, it's best not to call them a curse at them, but to laugh at them. It's very embarrassing. So this is one reason why no or few scientists get involved in all these areas, is because they're laughed at by the basic. But, if you're going to be part of society and buy into what they tell you and ha-ha, when people laugh at me and tell me I'm crazy and stupid or whatever and delusional, I find this a compliment. Well, you, the people, have made a society that burns coal, has no answer to any illnesses, and murders each other every day of the week for some mythical little fantasy religion. You have the nerve to judge anyone else. It's amusing. So, actually, those in society who criticize you show you are on the right track. It's as simple as that. But I've seen this happen, so people are generally not going to admit that they're using this. Secondly, there are legalities involved here. If you have something and you're winning all the time and you say, I have a special power, well, you can't play this game in a special power. That gives you an edge. And there are plenty of technicalities in every legal situation to ban you, and other players will stop wanting to be playing with you. Well, I have super abilities. I've been trained by the Intergalactic Guild of Occult Sciences. Those people got kick-ass technology. I'm going to take all your money. You are? I don't think so. At the very least, nobody will play with you. And this is the problem with setting up gambling teams and everything else. If you become known, well, you will not. This is not something that you think everybody's going to. And why would you possibly play with anybody who you know is going to win? Well, why would you do that? Why would you play against professionals? If you're losing a lot because your luck has gone bad, why would you continue to play? So believe me, there's technicalities, and you would never be able to get into a tournament. Nobody would play with you. Your picture would be every casino around the world, and it would soon go around the entire industry that you're a person who's got something special, and that special is to stay away from. So let's understand that first of all. So people talk about, I got the gut. I'm reading you. This is the game that these people play. And, they like to think, because they don't want to be, we're not just hillbilly luck guys. We're not that. It's like everything else in life. Just like Playboy was the most disgusting tool you should possibly see out there. Horrible pornography. Actually had nude women in it. Yeah, women nude. No. They weren't in overly provocative positions. There wasn't much sexuality, but they were nude. Oh, that's of the devil. Now we get every form of pornography you can get for free online, just for the click of a button. So, gambling was always thought to be really a scumbucket loser type. The people who gambled and played pool and all of them bad people. You went to the bad side of the town, and they were hustlers, and they had whores in the back. And a lot of this to a large extent was true. But these now, they're all very, like tattoos, which only scumbucket idiots and stupid military people got. Is now everybody's getting it, and apparently they have to cover every inch of their body up. But this was thought to be a very horrible, low-class, terrible thing to do. And in Judaistic or Jewish tradition, when you label your body like that, you go to hell. So all of this is part of the process of what's going on in the world today, of how things are changing. Now, being a gambler and poker and everything else is cool. And there have been many, many millionaires made of it. Particularly those that seem to have nothing better to do, like the Swedes and other things, sitting in their ice castles and making money off of the net, creating a very corrupt society. But so there are reasons why, and we keep telling people this, and one of the things about occultism is that to act and be silent. Now, a lot of people may say, well, be silent about what? I'm not getting them Hollywood results. Well, the point is that you'll never have a chance to even get those if you go around shooting your mouth off and telling everybody everything else. And nobody shares secrets. I keep saying this. Nobody even knows what the 7 secret spices are in Kentucky Fried Chicken. They don't know what Coca-Cola is ultimately. It's a secret formula. Their secrets are made and kept all the time and are kept forever. Right down to secret alien bases that may be under where you're sitting right now. Oh, that's absurd. Yeah. It's only absurd to those who are out of the sway of the real world. You believe what they tell you want to believe. So the whole idea is we don't know whom is doing what and where and what they're using. I've heard players who lost say, what are you using, Silva mind control? So the point is here's a guy who made that statement, was the Unabomber. Anyone who knows poker will know him, whose name escapes me for the second. So it's obviously that he investigated some sort of psychic things himself, and if he's done it, it means other people have done it, and because it's not instantaneously making you a Superman, they probably lose interest in it. It's easier to deal with numbers than to train yourself like so much of the occult sciences. Nothing is given. It all works with you, not for you. So the whole idea is that these are the things that we need to keep in our understanding of what is going on. So we don't really know. But, these, the problem is that people who don't want to be classified as low scum gamblers want to be classified as mathematicians and, the science of games and gambling. And there are entire courses on this in the top schools. And many of these top MIT-type schools all have people working on gambling systems that they don't tell you about. Some have come out in the past and have used these systems to win at gambling. There was a movie made about that, a very fictionalized movie, but whatever, it's still a movie on blackjack and the systems that they worked out of card counting, etc. These are real and they worked fantastically, and these people made millions. And Vegas changed blackjack tables by adding in numerous decks that makes card counting extremely difficult. But if they catch you card counting or think you're card counting, out the door, your picture's taken and posted in every casino, every restroom, everything owned by any gambling concern, even if it's a slot machine in the local Denny's in Vegas, your picture will be in the back there somewhere. And don't think that isn't exactly. That is not an exaggeration. So, only a fool thinks that large money is somehow ignorant. Nothing's happening. Oh, somebody take millions. They have a lot of money to do this, and they will pay for systems to do this. So they have facial recognition systems in all their casinos, and they take pictures of everyone as they enter and compare those to the facial recognition software they have to identify you as a potential winner. And of course they cover we're looking for crooks. Well, that's part of it. And of course, that's all part of life. Everything that is presented out there is possible. There's people that rip off vending machines, for Christ's sake, by using, tokens or whatever it is that, however you do that. So that's a critical area to understand as well. But the point is that that is the reality of it. So we don't know who's using these or not using this ultimately, and you'd have to be a real idiot. But I have to believe that a lot of these people are, just like there's a hell of a lot of people who've made money in the stock market who are based it on psychic predictions and psychic readings and remote viewing, and there are now courses even in this. Point is, a lot of people are using this now. Now a glut of people are using it. When you have the number one remote viewer, Eddie goofball military loser psychotic nutjob Dames, who has taken his little military experiment of being in the freakiest, most weirdest thing in the military you could, which I'm assuming hurt their career, Why they would possibly get involved in that, I have to think that the people that were thrown there were the freaks and weirdos and were thrown there for a reason or went there for a reason. But he's turned that into hundreds of millions of dollars. And now he's selling a remote viewing course for the stock market for only $100. Pretty amazing. That means anybody can buy it. And the reason he's selling it is because it works for you, works with you, not for you. So the fact is that, some people will be successful and other ones won't. Kick-ass systems means almost works for everybody. And, of course, remote viewing doesn't. And remote viewing is fascinating, but it's still very unreliable as a general term. And it's very dependent on the user, as the problem with all the occult sciences are. It's very user-dependent. Some people do great, other ones do mediocre. Everyone that uses guild systems does fair. I mean, we've made as much of the science as we possibly can, and everyone is getting benefits from it. I'm sure everybody would like higher benefits, and of course, so would I as a teacher and as a person who would like to see those even in my own life to manifest so quickly and strongly. But of course, that's not the reality we live in. So, as I said, we don't. So let's get back to the actual gambling app. But I've seen all these very professional, the top players in the world I've seen in tournaments. And the amazing thing is all these top players, if it was so much skill, would be winning all the time. Now, oftentimes these professionals do win repetitively, and they get these bracelets. Some people have 10, 15 bracelets. And, of course, a lot of these were gained when it was a small crowd of poker players in particular. Phil Hellmuth, who has, I think, 10 or 15 bracelets. But, a lot of these were won, 20, 30 years ago when poker wasn't that big and there wasn't, 10,000 people at a tournament. So the crowd was smaller. It was very much unsophisticated because there wasn't the internet. I mean, you had to go and sit in a bunch of places all the time to play poker and get the actual experience you need. Now you can sit online 24/7 gambling if you want to and get all sorts of experience. You couldn't do that in those days when all these people got all these bracelets. And the repetitiveness of the old pros in recent times is not very large. Bunch of new people winning, even though some of the old pros have snuck in there. But as we get more and more with all these people that have literally played millions of hands, probably 10 times even what the professionals have that have been in the business for 30 or 40 years, everything is changing. So the experience level there of everybody sitting at a table being at a same level is very, very close. Of course, there's nothing like being in a battle to understand what battle is all about, so the pros do and do not tend to squeak ahead. A lot of them don't get very far in these tournaments, and I've watched certain ones, and they may win in their hometowns, they may win over here, but when it gets to these tables, the people that are winning are obviously know the game, but they're not necessarily people who keep winning and winning every time. So it's not a skill thing. So what is it? And we've talked about this if everybody's at the same skill level again. And of course, basically they are. If you're a good poker player, how much better are you than somebody else? When you're doing this almost based on mathematical probabilities, which is what a lot of these people do. There is that whole game science I've talked about, which is a mathematical equation. Now, if you work by that, I don't know what your statistical win rate would be, but generally there seems to be an awful lot of people winning that use that and have been successful. And a lot of the top players, as I said, are mathematicians or have been to these higher schools, and it goes on and on and on. As I said, one of the biggest one, Chris Ferguson, of After Dark, Poker After Dark fame, and generally made a fortune in the industry by being in from what I understand, by owning internet gambling things. but it's also done pretty well and is considered one of the most competent players out there. But he's a mathematician who spent years at UCLA learning it. His father was a mathematician that teaches at UCLA. Well, that ought to tell you something then, that there's a mathematical equation. Yet, sure he wins, and maybe he wins more after the more unskilled people he meets in a casino somewhere, if they're foolish enough to play a professional like that. That's like going and playing golf against Tiger Woods. What do you think your chances of winning are? Well, I'm a smart guy. I got these new clubs at Kmart, and they tell me the guy shows you'll be as good as Tiger Woods when you play. I mean, there are idiots like that. The point is you have a slim to none chance. So it's generally not a good idea to play against pros like that. So that's one of the problems, and when you're talking about winning at gambling, is you have to be careful of. Why would you possibly do that? Why would you increase the odds of somebody else winning because you're less skilled? So there is a skill factor, and there's a lot to poker. Anybody that says it, so, but regardless of how much skills in these people, when you look at them, are not winning all the big titles. As a matter of fact, most of them are. As a matter of fact, Phil Hellmuth was not heavily into math when he was winning all of his things. He has his own little unique ways of psyching people out. He's married to a psychologist or psychiatrist. So, he studied the human brain and how to psych people. But he got into math later, and he's the #1 winner of bracelets out there. So, tournament bracelets. So the whole idea is that, and they make a lot of money as being celebrities in that industry. People want them there. They pay them to go there. They bring a lot of money. They bring a lot of crowds with them. It's like anything else. They're celebrities. But when it really comes down to it and you watch these pros go head to head, who is going to win? And you have similar skill. So it's very interesting is that it boils down to that occult energy known as luck, which is very mysterious and seems to not have been studied very well. But it comes down to luck. It means who gets the best cards in the end will win. And it's very important that, you need to have a competency level. You need to know what you're doing. Then what is the edge? Well, you don't have any edge if you're a bunch again. Then it gets down to the fact, is the guy next to you an idiot who's going to do stupid stuff and you can freak out and mindfuck? Then that's a whole nother game. But that has nothing to do with the cards. If you're around people that you're not going to manipulate that easily, then what do you do? Well, you don't do anything. It's all about the cards. You're either dealt them or not. And I've seen this with people who have a particular tournament where two top pros went what they call head-to-head. It was down to between these last two. And their luck was so similar that each hand, the other person got a better card. Meaning, one time the one pro would win, the next hand the other pro would win. And they went back and forth like this. And what was amazing is that they were getting very large hands. They were dealt kings and aces. And I've seen in a professional tournaments where someone was winning all the time with this psychic demanding of luck, which is where they're at. They're in it. And if you watch pros at the end there, particularly when you get down to two players, they're in a trance. And, this is what we talk about, being in trances and magic to get things to work as well. They're in a trance. And they are manipulating luck and bringing cards to them. Now, why it works and works up to, but I've seen a pro, and it's virtually statistically impossible, get two aces 3 times in a row. Now, the dealer's taking those cards back, they shuffle them, they do all sorts of things. These are skilled dealers. They're shuffling cards. Well, how could that possibly happen? Unless the game is fixed, and we have to keep that in mind as well, because it is possible, but you'd have to be an awful skilled dealer, and some of these things, these are broadcast. You have to wonder, but of course anything can happen. But let's take that element out of it. But I've seen them get card after card. As I said, I've seen them go back and forth, which shows me that, here's two pros that have very similar, have exactly the same physical skills, And, of course, you're not going to win a lot unless you have a high luck quotient, similar to the retards that are the richest men in the world. So I've seen it go back and forth. And it's like the energy is being sucked from one. Well, you beat me, I'm sucking back the luck energy. And then I get the cards. Well, I'm not telling. I'm sucking the luck energy back to me. And it actually goes to that until one or the other breaks the luck stream of the other one. And, of course, that's what you call being direct. You can actually break the luck of someone else. And these are more advanced ways of using occult empowerment or manipulating luck. So it really comes down to luck. What if you're playing craps and rolling dice? What gets you a 7-11 to win? Why do some people consistently roll 7s and 11s and can do this 3-4 times in a row? Now, statistically, the dice are not supposed to do that. Why is that happening? Well, you know, the science is all part of the game theory, and the things are bouncy and the ballsies and the yazafrasms and the jello pudding pops. Well, it gets down to a whole bunch of things that really don't make any sense. Because when luck comes in and someone starts winning, the game theory, the mathematical basis behind it, is thrown out the complete wall because it doesn't make any mathematical sense. There's no reason that should happen. So, so what does that mean? That means that luck is an energy that is somehow being controlled and manifesting by one person over another. Why do some people on particular days have what they call terrible luck? You can't win anything. You gamble, you put a coin in a parking meter, and that don't work. And we've all went through days where they just seem to be negative. Well, what the hell is going on there? That doesn't make any sense at all if you think about it. Not in the physical world, in the biophysical world, in the occult science world, it makes an awful lot of sense where your energies are out of kilter in that area. They're just not working. Why is that? Well, you think that occultists would have figured this out now, and I'm sure there are some that have, and again, act and be silent or be dead. So, it's quite interesting. And there are many factors, and there's many type of gambling. As I said, there is stock market gambling, commodities gambling, and, you know, to the individual it's gambling. It's controlled by insiders, so it's not really much gambling to them. You know, they let people get all psyched up, buy a lot of stocks, and then, of course, they crash the market after they sell out and make millions from it. Of course, they always lose some, too. Got to make it look good, but generally they all cash out enough that that's part of the game involved. But if you are occult energy attuned, you will know that this is coming ahead of time. So, luck, when it comes to gambling, is an occult energy that can be manufactured, manipulated, increased, decreased, and removed. If that's the case, then gambling is the perfect occult reality for an occult scientist, because you can now manipulate what is a system based on pure occult energy. Well, these people are looking in Harvard books of game theory. And it certainly isn't a bad idea to learn that. As a matter of fact, a professional does that. But in the end, those guys go home saying, well, yeah, that's the part of math that doesn't make sense. Yeah. Well, but they tell me it don't make sense, so I feel good about it. So the occult scientist is 100% at home in a place and in an energy field that is totally, completely occult energy based. Of course, as I said, there's many factors involved, and there's many types of there's sporting events, there's horses, all these things, which are in some degree, of course, to a large degree, are all fixed. All sporting events are fixed, on and on and on. Probably every single horse race and everything else to one degree or another. But that doesn't bother the occult scientist because he knows he's going to win anyway, or he will make his people win or over someone else because of doing certain things. Because these are, since they involve other things, they can be directly and indirectly manipulated and influenced. So this is a perfect place to start creating energies, building energies, luck energies. And what are luck energies? And how do you build them? And all these things come into the most advanced ways of dealing with and researching the occult sciences. And quite frankly, I don't think there's much out there on this period. Maybe some people have some natural abilities, have been learned to channel these energies in. But there are multi ways of influencing and drawing in luck energies, which is very complicated and advanced and ultimately has to be very secretive methods of doing things. So you're not going to find too much in the common world out there and the systems out there. You know, every system that someone claims to be winning in gambling should be something that people get. It should be something that they study. Any book that alludes to that, any psychic system, are all things that should be gotten and looked at and analyzed and researched whether that is something that can be added to a bigger hybrid system of empowerment. But ultimately, you know, I think most of these systems out there that people offer in gambling and stock markets and other things do work on a certain level and may have worked for the person who sells that. But in often cases, yeah, that's what I did 10 years ago and it worked and it's an okay system for most people. But today they're not really doing that system. They now have grown into a hybrid system where they're doing a bunch of other things. So I don't think these systems are entirely a fraud, even though these internet constant ads for stock market trading. I've made $1 million today and my computer was broken. I screamed into the air outside my window to sell and somehow it happened and I made $4,000 today. Well, I don't believe these things, and there's a con element to these trading things. It's not that easy to make money in trading if everybody, and there is, and some people say, well, that's not, that doesn't really hold true. If this thing worked, why isn't everybody doing it? Well, a lot of people are not interested in it and don't look out so the world and don't believe anything exists past their own little 9-to-5ers. Or they're making money somewhere else. Why should they bother gambling in the stock market when they can charge you $10,000 to have you fill out a legal form or do a fake operation on you? They think that's, of course, much more guaranteed, and they've trained themselves in those fraudulent areas. Or it's just easier to take a bribe as a fake police officer, because you're not a police officer, you take bribes, you're a criminal. It goes on and on and on. These are sure things. Why buy? Just easier to get an envelope. So a lot of people don't investigate these things. And then, of course, you have the people that want to be scientific and think that it's all in the numbers. But, I wonder what's really going behind these people as well. So we'll never really know because, as I said, they'll never admit it. So here's a perfect energy to manipulate. But as I said, it's very complicated because there's so many ways to approach this. There are numerous ways to increase your luck and success energies. And ultimately, since you are this biophysical ascending human, you are an occult scientist, a very unique type of occultist, by the way. Occult scientists are very different than occultism. So it's very, very difficult. The word scientist is not put in there for some sort of effect or to make things sound scientific-y. They're put in there because it is the fact of taking occultism, or whatever it may be in life, is that most people want to make everything into a science. If you want to golf, you want the science of golf, because the science says if you do this and this, you get X result from it. And if everybody does X and X, they get X result. So this is what everybody tries to make everything into, is a science. Well, most things in life tend to be an art form. An art form is something that may come out nice and looks different, but never is the same, and each person creates something differently. Well, life more is like that no matter what it is. I mean, law and medicine, you want to say, well, there's way. Yeah, but the point is that there are some good doctors and some good lawyers and some bad, etc. And why is that? They have the same schooling, they pass the same tests. The point is that everything is an art form ultimately. But there are foundations. And of course, that's what the occult sciences do. When we deal with these foundations, you have to mix them in your life to figure out what works best for you. So it's very complicated in that area. When you get into these things, it requires a great deal of research. And I can tell you right now, nobody in the occult has ever done this. Because there are no occult institutions that have ever been around long enough that have really done anything. Or have been around, period. But they haven't done anything. All the great Satanists and everything else are too busy selling you expensive books and tapes that do absolutely nothing. Instead of, if they have this great empowerment from all these demons, finding out what works and what doesn't work. And then there's all those naysayers and everything else that laugh at you, or even the ones that go, well, you can't use occultism for personal gain. That's ridiculous. Where does that nonsense come from? That's churchianity stuff where all the money goes to them and they'll decide what crumbs they throw back to you. The Vatican, with its trillions and trillions of dollars of wealth that does nothing really to help humanity, keeping libraries all locked up and tight under the guidance of saving things, where they have no right to that. They should be forced to make every one of those documents available to the public through the numerous technologies we have today. Stuff they stole, by the way. If it wasn't for Napoleon, who grabbed everything and brought it to the Paris, to the libraries there, most occult books wouldn't even be available. The Vatican would have them. So the bottom line is that all of this is a complicated procedure that needs a lot of study and basic research to get to these higher levels. But there still are basic things that make you successful, or I should say assist you to be successful. Nothing makes you. It's a bad term. So magic works with you, not for you. Where did I hear that before? I've heard that a lot. Who's saying that? Get that guy. He's pissing me off. So the whole idea is that that's how magic works with you. And in the traditional sorcery course, there must be at least 10 or 15, maybe 20 things that are good for money drawing, which is part of the equation. Success, that's part of it too. And plain out gambling and types of gambling. And there's even formulas for horse racing and lottery and everything else that have been used throughout the ages, which we have copied and improved upon, that are offered there that people can get. But now, one of the problems is that these are not in any of the bags entirely. Now, the ultimate bag has more than others, and we're probably going to start building in more into the ultimate. But the whole idea, if you have a bag that's just full of luck and success, it's kind of overwhelming to the balanced structure we put into an all-purpose bag, which is supposed to be for everything in life. It's supposed to be for uncrossing, for protection, for banishing, for stopping hexes, for healing, as well as success and money drawing and all the other things. But life is not one-dimensional, so tools like this will have to be designed and made on their own, but it's still, in there to some extent. But there's also many, many others that equate to it. The point is that if you have blockages, it's not just bringing luck to you and having these oils. Well, you need to uncross yourselves from negative luck. So this gets very, very complicated. You need to remove blockages. To think that you just want to keep pulling positive energies to you when you are all crossed and blocked and possibly cursed, well, you don't get great results that way because you have all these blockages in front of you. Well, why didn't it work? Well, because you're all blocked up, so you need to uncross yourself first. So there's a whole way of doing these things which takes, someone who's been in this for 40 years. I know all these ins and outs, and like everything else, I'd have to live to be 300 years old to pass all this information on to people, particularly in written form, because it's very difficult to produce things, to format them and get them published, and then, add all the things to it, make all the sigils. It's quite a process, and there's a lot going on that we're doing, and it's very difficult. And like most things in life, the Grand Master is the only person who really quite understands this. And it's not something you can easily teach to people, and so it's not something you can just bring an apprentice in and do things. And apprentices have tended to be, in the past, pretty pathetic losers. So these things will come as they come, and we need to develop and work with other people, which is why we have started a gambling team, but this is a very high commitment level. We're also going to be releasing, even from that team, some information to the general public, but we're going to be talking about this as a general area of research so people can do their own little things, because they're not going to be able to get, the gambling team is going to be very limited, going to take a high degree of commitment with people. Not only in time, you're going to have to put away a chunk of your week to do research. And you're going to have to put away a chunk of your money. This is what keeps people in line and keeps them going. It can't be something that is free where people can just jump in and do these things, because it becomes in an area that is very problematical and dangerous to the team itself. But we won't get into that here. But that's something to understand as well. But we're going to be releasing some of this information, and we will have a page dedicated to this where people can come in and get information. But, again, this will be something that will be accessible by people to get this information, but you're going to have to pay for it. I mean, people are going to put a lot of time and energy, and this is not going to be something that is gotten inexpensively or easily, so people can just pop in and out, take what they want. Isn't that wonderful? I'm glad you did 5 years worth of research and spent tens of thousands of dollars gathering all this information, and I got it for $20. Isn't that nice? That ain't going to happen. So there's going to be different stages of these things, like everything else in life. This is very potent stuff for this world that will manifest and that requires a high commitment, and this is not going to be something gained easily. But getting back to the subject, it's very complicated. There are many ways, and it becomes individualistic, is what is your luck level? We do this as a general rule when we have readings now. We do this, what is your manifesting level? And we check this out. What is your health level, and what is your manifesting level? So how can you, at what level you are making things happen in your life in general? That's a manifesting level. And where is your health energy? You don't have to be sick right now, but what is the level of your health energies? And this is important to understand. And there is another quotient. What is your luck level? And we can gauge this as we go on, has the luck level increased after doing certain things? Can we pick up a noticeable change? And this gets into all the other research we're doing, is that we should be able to, with the advanced technologies, Carillion, aura imagery, and so many other things, which are very expensive machines to own, can we actually see physical changes or the manifestation of luck fields in your aura? We certainly should be able to. So, this field is not as nebulous as science wants. We can't prove anything. Like hell we can't. There are huge amounts of sensing tools that we have now. The problem is, it's like quality anything. It's like building quality magic machines are doing now. In the past, if we wanted to use high quality, specially colored lasers, they were literally thousands of dollars. Now, they can be gotten for under $100. That's a big difference. So now you can move vast amounts of scalar fields using light and powered energies, for under 100, which used to be, I mean, frankly, getting some of these lasers that had those capacities were literally $5,000-$6,000 each. But, a lot of these machines are $5,000 or $6,000. But, of course, you don't buy them every day. A good Carillion machine is $5,000. I think it's 6 or 7, actually. And these other machines can be very expensive. So we don't know, and there's ways of testing these fields, but they're going to require the big buckaroos. Excuse me there. But these are all part of what is the bigger process, and a serious gambling team, which can potentially make hundreds of thousands of dollars, spending 20, 30, 40, 50 grand on different testing equipments is nothing with the potential payoff. And you have to understand that coming into a team, and you have to be on that, because you're not going to get that in. You can get these come-ons, you can buy all the tapes and fancy little turd books that are out there, fancy hardcover books with turd material in it that everybody produces. And their fancy little videos. You can get all these, I'm the done-for-you system. And there may be some shred of interesting information in here, but they aren't going to manifest the kind of money that you could potentially make in gambling, which is literally tens of thousands of dollars very easily. Ultimately, if you have a system which requires a lot of work and time to do it, but it ain't digging ditches. It isn't the risk of spending $10 million on a product and then marketing like hell, hoping somebody comes there like they do with movies. So the whole idea is that all these things boil down to what is that all about? So everything takes commitment. If people expect to make huge amounts of money, then they're going to have huge amounts of commitment on all types of levels. So this is something that we have to be very careful of in the reality of what's happening out there. And it's extremely exciting because of the fact, which I will close with here, if we are dealing with a pure occult energy, and we are occultists, don't you think we should be able to control those energies? So with that, as I always say, there's no reality until the occult scientist creates it. Question everything. Believe nothing. Trust absolutely no one. Learn it, be it, do it, and let the guild be your guide.